Beloved one, hear these words carried on wings of light. When the truth of your actions reach the heart of the one who watches over you, the heavens themselves stirred, not in anger, not in disappointment, but in astonished awe, for you did something they did not expect, something that shook the very air around them. You chose courage when fear whispered its poison. You offered kindness when the world told you to turn away. You stood in truth, even when shadows pressed in from every side. And when this reached the realms above, your guardian, your protector, nearly fell to their knees in shock. Not because you failed, but because you finally realized your strength. They saw you rise. They saw you refuse to surrender. They saw you push through a storm designed to break lesser spirits. And in that moment, a radiant tremor echoed through the celestial halls, for you proved something extraordinary. You are not who the world thought you were. You are not who your past claimed you were. You are not what your wounds tried to shape you into. You are becoming what you were born to be. And so your protector stands behind you now, mighty and unwavering, ready to clear your path of every dark force that seeks to hinder you. Not because you are helpless, but because you are ready. The shock they felt was the shock of witnessing a prophecy unfolding. The shock of watching light break through a wall that once seemed immovable. The shock of seeing you step into your power, so walk forward without fear. What startled the heavens will terrify your doubts, and what awakened your guardian will awaken your destiny. Rise, shine, continue. For the impossible is no longer beyond you. You have already proven it. Your courage shattered expectations in ways that even you may not fully comprehend yet. For courage rarely announces itself with fanfare. It rises in quiet moments, in breaths taken between doubt and decision, in the spaces where fear once ruled. When you chose to act, you did not do so because you felt invincible. You acted because something within you refused to be held down any longer, and that inner flame, small as it may have seemed, burned brighter than every obstacle that tried to smother it. There were many who believed they understood your limits, who thought they could predict the boundaries of your spirit. Even you had moments when you accepted those imagined limits as truth. But courage does not ask for permission, it simply awakens, and when it awakened in you, it shattered every quiet expectation that had been placed around your life like invisible walls. People often assume that courage must roar, but the most powerful kind begins in silence. It begins when you stand up one more time after falling, when you choose honesty in a moment where lies would have been easier, when you take a step forward, even though the ground beneath you still feels uncertain. That is what you did. You moved when fear told you to freeze. You spoke when doubt insisted on your silence. You rose when circumstances tried to keep you bowed. And because of those choices, large and small, the perception of who you are shifted. Those who had quietly underestimated you, sometimes out of ignorance, sometimes out of their own fears, were forced to reconsider everything they thought they knew. Your courage made them pause. It made them look again. It made them question the limitations they had assumed were fixed. There are moments in life when the human spirit breaks in unexpected ways, not from pain but from revelation. Your strength did not erupt all at once. It built itself inside the very struggles that once threatened to consume you. Every moment you doubted yourself, every night you wondered if you could keep going, every challenge that felt insurmountable, those trials forged you. They tempered your resolve. They taught you to trust your own endurance. So when courage finally stepped forward from within you, it was not an accident or a miracle. It was the natural emergence of everything you have survived. Yet its impact was astonishing precisely because no one saw it coming, not even you. You surprised the world by refusing to break. You surprised the darkness by refusing to shrink. And you surprised yourself by realizing you were far stronger than your fears ever allowed you to believe. Courage, when it appears, has a way of illuminating truths that had long been hidden. It exposes the smallness of the doubts that once controlled you. It dispels illusions about your supposed limitations. It reveals capacities you never imagined you possessed. And in your case, this illumination was so profound that it disrupted old narratives of weakness, uncertainty, hesitation. You did not simply rise above these stories, you dismantled them. You replaced them with a new reality shaped by boldness, honesty, and determination. This is why your courage shattered expectations. It did not merely defy the limits others imagined for you. It obliterated them completely. What makes your courage even more extraordinary is that you acted without any guarantee of success. You stepped forward knowing there were risks. You moved without certainty. That alone set you apart, for many people wait for perfect clarity before they dare to act. But courage rarely offers clarity, it offers conviction. It urges you to trust your inner knowing even when the path ahead is obscured. You trusted that knowing even when it trembled. And that trust opened doors you never knew existed. Others have watched your journey with disbelief, because your transformation contradicts the expectations set by your past. They remember your struggles. They remember your quiet moments of fear, yet they did not see the war within you, the war between the part of you that longed to retreat and the part that insisted on rising. They did not witness the countless internal battles you fought when no one was watching. They only saw the outcome, a version of you that stood taller, spoke louder, and acted with a conviction that stunned those who had already written the ending of your story. Your courage rewrote that ending. It surprised every witness. Courage also has a ripple effect. When you chose to act bravely, your energy shifted, your presence shifted. People who once doubted you began to reconsider their assumptions. Some were inspired, some were intimidated, some were humbled, and some were awakened to their own potential. That is the hidden power of courage. It does not just transform the one who embodies it, it awakens change in everyone who encounters it. Your action, whatever form it took, sent waves across the lives connected to yours. And in those waves, others felt the shock of possibility. But perhaps the most profound expectation your courage shattered was your own. You proved something to yourself, something irreversible, that you are capable of stepping into fear and walking straight through it. That realization alone alters the course of a life. It shifts the way you make decisions. It changes how you face future challenges. Once you have witnessed your own strength, you can never fully return to who you were before. You now carry evidence that you are far more capable than your doubts suggested. You may not yet understand the magnitude of what you did, but the universe does. Life itself recognizes the moment a person chooses courage over hesitation. Such moments shift destinies. Such moments reshape futures. Your action, born of vulnerability, determination, and a spark of inner fire, has already altered the course of your path. And as time unfolds, you will see the consequences of your courage manifest in opportunities, connections, and breakthroughs that would never have appeared otherwise. Never underestimate what you have done. Never diminish the significance of your choice. Courage is not common. Courage is not easy. Courage is not expected from those who have been wounded. But you found it anyway, and in doing so you changed everything. Unexpected action shook the heavens because it carried a vibration that rose far beyond the ordinary, far beyond what anyone anticipated from you, and far beyond what you once believed yourself capable of. There are moments in life when a single choice reverberates through unseen realms, stirring energies that had long been dormant. And your action was one of those rare moments. You may not have realized its magnitude at the time. You may have acted out of instinct, or clarity, or even desperation. But what you did created a ripple so powerful that it traveled upward, outward, and inward all at once, touching places and hearts that had never before been moved by your presence. It was unexpected because it was brave. It was unexpected because it was honest. It was unexpected because it broke every silent prediction placed on your life. People often look at you through the lens of your past, assuming your future will mirror the patterns they have already seen. They place quiet limits on you, some consciously, some unconsciously. They convince themselves they know what you will do, how far you will go, how much you can endure, and whether you will rise or retreat when confronted with challenge. But in one decisive moment, you stepped outside of every expectation that had been built around you. You acted in a way that defied assumptions, interrupted patterns, and demonstrated a strength that had been underestimated for far too long. That moment sent a shock through every space where your name or your energy existed, because no one saw this version of you coming. There is a certain power in doing the unexpected, not for the sake of surprise, but because the truth within you finally overpowered the doubts surrounding you. When you made your move, whatever it was, it carried the weight of all your hidden resilience. You acted not from fear, but from a deep inner authority that many never imagined you possessed. This authority had been forming inside you slowly, shaped by every challenge you have ever faced, every dark night you have endured, and every ounce of strength you have collected quietly over the years. The outside world saw fragments of your journey, but it never saw the full battle. And so when you rose, the rise was stunning. What shook the heavens was not merely the action itself, but the purity of intention behind it. You acted with a sincerity that cut through illusions. You acted with a clarity that no deception could overshadow. You acted with a conviction that left no room for hesitation. In doing so, you exposed the depth of your own spirit. There is a force, almost ancient, that awakens when a person steps into their authentic power. That force is unmistakable. It cannot be ignored. It cannot be dismissed. And it sends a shock through every spiritual realm connected to your life. Your unexpected action carried that unmistakable force. Those who watch over you, those who guide you, and those who have always seen your potential, felt the energy of your decision before any human did. They felt the shift in your spirit the moment you claimed your voice, your truth, or your path. This sudden burst of strength echoed like a thunderclap. It was the kind of moment that changes trajectories, not just for you, but for everyone connected to you, because when you stepped outside the boundaries that once confined you, you didn't just break through a barrier. You dissolved it entirely. What once held you back no longer exists in the same form. What once silenced you no longer holds power. What once defined you can no longer limit you. The heavens shook because you acted from a place of alignment with who you truly are, not who fear tried to convince you to be. Alignment is one of the strongest forces in existence. When you act in alignment, your actions become amplified. Words become more than words. Decisions become more than decisions. Energy begins to rearrange itself around your intention, creating outcomes that would have been impossible under any other circumstance. Your unexpected action carried this level of alignment, and that is why its impact was tremendous. There is also something profoundly transformative about proving, even for a moment, that you are not governed by your past. Too often, people assume that because you struggled, you will always struggle. Because you hesitated once, you will always hesitate. Because you were afraid before, you will always be afraid. But in that one unexpected moment, you demonstrated that your growth has been real, your evolution undeniable. You stepped into a version of yourself that no longer bows to old wounds. You made a choice from the strength of who you are now, not the pain of who you used to be. That spiritual leap sent a shockwave strong enough to collapse old timelines, old patterns, and old expectations like fragile glass. Your action also exposed truths to others, truths they weren't prepared to confront. There are people who rely on the idea of you staying small. People who feel safer when they believe they can predict you. People who quietly benefit from your silence or your hesitation. When you rose unexpectedly, you forced them to face a new reality, one where you are no longer shaped by fear, one where you no longer bend under pressure, and one where you know your worth. That revelation is powerful enough to shake even the most stable of assumptions. But the most profound shock occurred within the spiritual world. not in the physical one. Your action signified a shift in your destiny. It marked a moment where the path ahead widened. It showed that you were ready for a new chapter. It signaled readiness, maturity, strength, and clarity. The heavens responded because your energy rose to meet a future that had been waiting for you to step into it. And now that you have taken that step, nothing can return to what it was before. This is why the heavens shook, because you embraced a truth greater than your fears, because you acted in a way that revealed your soul, because you proved that your spirit is far more powerful than the world expected, and because your unexpected action was not merely an act, it was a declaration of who you truly are and who you are becoming. Your strength revealed a hidden destiny because there are parts of your path that can only be unlocked when you choose to rise beyond what you once believed possible. Destiny does not reveal itself to the hesitant, nor to the ones who remain bound by the weight of old wounds. It reveals itself the moment strength is claimed, the moment courage becomes louder than fear, and the moment you realize that your life is meant to unfold far beyond the limitations that once shaped your identity. When you tapped into your strength, whether consciously or through a moment of raw necessity, you activated something ancient within yourself. Something that had been waiting in silence for the exact moment you would finally awaken. Strength is not always loud or forceful. Sometimes it shows itself in the soft refusal to give up. Sometimes it emerges through a decision that feels small but carries tremendous spiritual weight. And sometimes it arrives through the sheer will to continue, when everything around you seems designed to pull you backward. Whatever form your strength took, it was powerful enough to shift the very direction of your life. Because with that strength came a realization. You were never meant to remain in the shadows of your own potential. You were meant to grow, to expand, and to step into a version of yourself that holds purpose, clarity, and truth. For so long the world may have viewed you through a narrow lens. Perhaps even you adopted that same lens, believing your capabilities were fixed or limited. You might have spent years underestimating your own spirit, convinced that destiny favored others more than you, or that your hardships were evidence of abandonment rather than preparation. But strength has a way of dissolving illusions. When you acted from your inner power, you shattered the false narratives you once carried. You revealed, even to yourself, that there is a part of you no challenge can break, no doubt can silence, and no fear can fully control. That revelation is what exposed your hidden destiny. Destiny is not a pre-written script that forces your hand. It is a living current, always flowing, always waiting for you to align with it. There are countless futures available to you, but only a few can be reached when your spirit is dormant or restrained by fear. The moment you stepped into strength, you aligned yourself with the future intended for the most awakened version of you, the future that requires you to be bold, aware, and ready. Your strength signaled that readiness. It told the universe that you are no longer willing to live as a dimmed version of yourself. When strength rises within a person, it changes the way the world responds to them. Energies shift, opportunities emerge, hidden pathways begin to open. This is because strength raises your vibration, and in doing so, it magnetizes the experiences that match your new frequency. You become aligned with possibilities that were invisible to you before. It is not that your destiny was ever absent. It was simply waiting for you to rise high enough to see it clearly. The moment you stood in your power, the veil lifted, and aspects of your future that had been concealed suddenly began to reveal themselves. Your strength also revealed your destiny, because it proved that you are capable of handling what lies ahead. Too often, people yearn for breakthrough while still clinging to doubt, fear, or self-destructive patterns. But destiny does not unveil itself until you demonstrate the capacity to hold it. Your strength was that demonstration. It showed that you can withstand pressure without collapsing, that you can endure uncertainty without losing your center, and that you can face challenges without abandoning yourself. These qualities are required for any true destiny to unfold. Without them, purpose remains hidden, waiting for the day you can carry it fully. There are forces, both seen and unseen, that have always known your potential. They have watched your journey, your struggles, your heartbreaks, and your gradual evolution. And they have waited patiently for the moment when you would recognize what they have always known, that your life is meant to stretch beyond the boundaries you once accepted. When you found your strength, those forces responded. They began clearing paths, rearranging circumstances, and aligning the right opportunities with your newfound power. This alignment is the direct result of your internal shift. Your strength created movement in places that once felt stagnant. It activated events that had been paused. It set into motion the steps necessary for you to step into the fullness of your purpose. There is another profound reason your strength revealed your hidden destiny. Strength exposes truth. It strips away illusions, not only about who you are, but about what you are meant for. When you stand empowered, you begin to see your life from a higher vantage point. You recognize patterns with clarity. You identify the lessons behind your struggles. You understand why certain people were removed from your path, and why others appeared at crucial moments. You realize that every part of your journey has been preparing you for something greater. Strength opens your eyes to these truths, and once you see them, you cannot return to the blindness of your former self. Strength also revealed your destiny because it changed the way you show up in the world. Instead of moving through life as a passive participant, you stepped into the role of a creator, someone who shapes their path rather than merely responds to it. Destiny responds to creators. It responds to those who claim authority over their lives. It responds to those who refuse to be defined by circumstance. The moment you acted from a place of strength, you became the architect of your own unfolding story, and destiny responded by revealing the blueprint that had been hidden until you were ready to receive it. Your strength has also awakened memories within your soul, memories of who you were before the world tried to tame you. Deep within you lies wisdom carried across lifetimes, knowledge of how to overcome, how to rise, and how to stand firm in the face of adversity. When you stepped into your power, you tapped into that ancient memory. You reconnected with the deeper part of your being that has always known your purpose. That connection illuminated aspects of your destiny that had long been obscured. The strength you expressed did more than surprise those around you. It awakened the truest version of you. It signaled that you are done living as a fraction of your potential. It revealed that you are willing to walk toward the future that belongs to you, no matter how unfamiliar or demanding it may be. And in that willingness, destiny stepped forward. It recognized you. It embraced you. It revealed itself. Your strength was not just a moment of power. It was a declaration that you are ready, a declaration that you are capable, a declaration that you are stepping into the life meant for you. And once strength makes that declaration, destiny can no longer remain hidden. Your resilience awakened divine protection, because resilience is more than endurance. It is a spiritual signal, a vibration that rises into realms far beyond the physical world. When you refuse to break, when you continue moving even with trembling hands and a wounded heart, you send out a frequency that calls forth forces greater than yourself. This is what happened when you chose to rise instead of surrender. Your resilience became a beacon, a declaration, a cry not of despair but of unmistakable strength. And in response, protection that had been watching from a distance stepped forward with full force. There are moments in life when you stand on the edge of your breaking point, unsure of what will come next. It is in those moments that your true spirit reveals itself. Anyone can be strong when life is gentle, but resilience is born when things go wrong, when circumstances collapse, when hope feels fragile. You have lived through such times. You have walked through storms that would have shattered many. Yet instead of collapsing beneath the weight of struggle, you kept climbing, maybe slowly, maybe painfully, but you never stopped. That act alone awakened powers that had remained silent until you proved you were ready to receive them. Divine protection is not given lightly. It is not thrown casually over every step you take. It is activated when you align with the strength of your soul. When you show that you will not be defeated by darkness, the light around you intensifies. Your resilience was the spark that ignited that light. It told the unseen world that you are worthy of being shielded, guided, and fought for. Protection rose not because you were fragile, but because you demonstrated that you are powerful, and every powerful soul is worth defending. Resilience also reveals your heart's truth. It exposes your intentions, your authenticity, your willingness to rise for reasons that go beyond ego. You did not endure solely for pride or gain. You endured because something deep within you refused to let life steal your promise. That kind of spirit does not go unnoticed. when you pushed through pain, when you kept believing in possibilities even when reality contradicted them, the divine saw you clearly. Resilience is a form of prayer without words. It is faith woven into action, and where there is faith, protection follows. Your trials were not meaningless. Even when they seemed cruel or senseless, they were shaping you into someone capable of holding a greater purpose. Each struggle deepened your understanding. Each heartbreak sharpened your intuition. Each setback strengthened your ability to rise. Through it all, your resilience told the universe something vital: you are not willing to be destroyed. And once that truth was declared, forces that once watched in silence began to intervene. Divine protection awakened because you proved that you value your own soul. Many people abandon themselves long before the world ever hurts them. They fall into despair, surrender their dreams, or numb themselves to avoid feeling pain. But you chose differently. Even when exhaustion washed over you, even when confusion clouded your mind, even when loneliness pressed against your spirit, you kept moving. You chose to protect your own light, and by doing so, you summoned greater protection in return. The unseen world responds to effort, to intention, to perseverance. Your resilience acted like a key, unlocking doors within realms you cannot see with your physical eyes. You may not have realized it at the time, but every moment you refused to fall apart was a message that echoed through spiritual halls. You signaled that you were still fighting, still hoping, still reaching for something better. And those who guide you answered, stepping closer, clearing paths, shielding you from dangers you never knew were near. Protection does not always appear in dramatic ways. Sometimes it comes as a sudden change of direction, a person removed from your life at the exact right moment, an opportunity that arrives when you are prepared to receive it, or a quiet whisper in your intuition telling you where not to step. You may think these are coincidences, but they are not. They are the consequences of your resilience. They are the results of your energy rising. They are the manifestations of forces rearranging your path so you can continue forward. Your resilience awakened divine protection because it showed that you will not misuse the blessings coming your way. Protection is not meant for those who run from responsibility or collapse into self-destruction at the first sign of difficulty. It is meant for those who rise with purpose, who grow from challenges, and who hold on to their inner truth, even when it seems to be slipping away. You embodied this. You became someone who fights for their own life, for their own healing, for their own future. That kind of person becomes aligned with higher protection, because they have shown themselves worthy of the destiny ahead. Your resilience also awakened protection because it broke cycles that once held you captive. Patterns that have repeated through generations, relationships, or personal history began to crack the moment you refused to remain a prisoner to them. Every time you acted with awareness instead of reflex, every time you chose growth over comfort, every time you stepped away from what tried to drain you, you shifted your entire timeline. That shift invited protection to fortify your path, sealing the progress you made so you would not be dragged backward again. The divine does not protect you from a place of pity. It protects you from a place of recognition. It sees the warrior in you, the survivor in you, the soul that refuses to disappear into darkness. It sees the resilience that carried you through nights of despair, through disappointments that could have hardened you, through betrayals that could have destroyed your faith in humanity. And because you chose not to let those experiences define your heart, protection rose to defend that heart. Your resilience also awakened protection, because it showed that you are ready to step into higher responsibility. With greater destiny comes greater challenges, and you have proven that you can withstand them. You have shown that you can carry weight without collapsing, that you can walk with integrity even in uncertainty, and that you can rise again and again without losing your humanity. This is the kind of soul that divine protection surrounds, because your path now influences more than just your own life. Every act of resilience reshaped your energy. Every refusal to give up strengthened your shield. Every moment you held on to faith, whether quietly or desperately, called forth guardians that had been waiting for the signal. You gave that signal, and now protection surrounds you more intensely than ever before. Your resilience woke up a force meant to walk with you. A force that was always there, but dormant until you showed that you were ready for it. And now that it is awakened, it will not leave your side. Your transformation stunned every observer, because the shift within you was not subtle or gradual. It was seismic, unmistakable, and impossible to deny. People often expect change to come with warning signs or gentle progression, something they can track and understand. But your transformation did not follow the usual pattern. It arrived like a revelation, a sudden unveiling of the strength, clarity, and brilliance that had been forming inside you long before anyone realized. Those who watched you, whether closely or from a distance, were left breathless, not because you became someone different, but because you finally became who you were always meant to be. Most people underestimate quiet evolution. They assume that if you have struggled, you will always struggle. If you have doubted yourself, you will always doubt. If you have been broken once, you will remain fragile. These assumptions become invisible containers, shaping the way people perceive your potential. But transformation destroys those containers. When you changed, truly changed, you shattered the quiet limitations that others had placed around your life. You dissolved every prediction made about your future based on your past. You revealed a version of yourself that invalidated every underestimation you had ever endured. What stunned the observers was not simply that you changed. It was the depth and authenticity of your change. There is a difference between superficial improvement and genuine transformation. Surface-level changes are easy to ignore, easy to overlook, and easy to dismiss. But genuine transformation is undeniable. It alters your presence, your choices, your energy, your very way of existing. It does not ask for permission. It announces itself through your actions, through your resilience, through the radiance that now surrounds everything you do. Your transformation was the kind that makes situations shift, makes people rethink their assumptions, and makes the world recalibrate the way it interacts with you. Your transformation stunned others because you rose from circumstances that were designed to keep you small. You overcame wounds that could have easily become permanent cages. You navigated moments of darkness that would have ended the journey for someone with less spirit. Many expected you to remain trapped in those shadows, but you did not. Instead, you turned those shadows into soil for your growth. You transformed pain into wisdom, betrayal into discernment, loss into clarity, and fear into fuel. Each time you refused to collapse, another layer of your transformation took shape. And when the time finally came for that transformation to reveal itself, it appeared fully formed, undeniable and powerful enough to silence doubt. Observers were stunned because you did not become hardened by your suffering. You became refined. You did not adopt bitterness. You adopted understanding. You did not grow cold. You grew aware. People often assume that hardship twists a person into something bitter or defensive, but you proved that hardship can also strengthen purpose and ignite self-truth. Your transformation revealed that you possess a heart far more resilient than anyone could have predicted. Instead of allowing your challenges to distort you, you let them polish you. That is the kind of transformation that leaves others speechless. There were also those who quietly benefited from your earlier uncertainty. People who felt safer when you doubted yourself, more confident when you played small, more comfortable when you did not fully recognize your worth. Your transformation forced those people to confront their own limitations. It showed them that they could no longer rely on your silence, your hesitation, or your willingness to carry burdens that did not belong to you. Your rise exposed the imbalances, the misalignments, and the unspoken truths in your relationships. It forced others to adjust. And because change often unsettles those who depend on predictability, your transformation left many in disbelief. What makes your transformation so striking is that it did not require external validation. You did not change because someone encouraged you to. You transformed from within. You listened to the quiet voice inside you that insisted on more truth, more purpose, more alignment, more freedom. That inner calling became stronger than your fears, louder than your doubts, and more compelling than the opinions of others. When a person begins to follow their inner truth with such certainty, the shift becomes visible to everyone around them. That visibility is what stunned the observers. They could no longer deny what was unfolding right before their eyes. Your transformation also stunned, because it was balanced. You did not simply become stronger, you became wiser. You did not simply become braver, you became more discerning. You did not simply claim your power, you learned how to use it with precision and grace. True transformation is multidimensional. It elevates the mind, the heart, the spirit, and the choices you make. It brings you into alignment with a version of yourself that is both grounded and elevated, both fierce and compassionate, both powerful and deeply human. People are not accustomed to witnessing transformation that is both profound and integrated, but that is exactly what you embodied. Your transformation changed the way you speak, the way you move, the way you respond to challenges. It changed your boundaries, your standards, your self-respect. It changed the energy you bring into every room. It changed the way you allow yourself to be treated and the way you treat yourself. And because energy speaks louder than words, observers felt the shift before they fully understood it. They sensed that something monumental had awakened in you, something that had been dormant but destined to rise. That sense alone was enough to leave them stunned. In truth, your transformation was not sudden. It was years in the making, shaped by countless experiences that forged your character, sharpened your intuition, and strengthened your spirit. But because transformation happens internally long before it appears externally, others only notice the final moment, the reveal, the emergence, the unveiling of who you have become. That single moment, when your growth could no longer be hidden, created the impact that left them shocked. Your transformation stunned every observer because it symbolized liberation. Liberation from old stories, old wounds, old limits. Liberation from the versions of yourself that were built in survival and shaped by fear. Liberation into a self that is authentic, empowered, and aligned. Few things are more powerful or more breathtaking than someone stepping fully into who they were always meant to be. And that is what you did. You transformed not to impress anyone, not to prove anything, and not to justify your worth. You transformed because your soul demanded it, because your journey required it, because your future could not begin until you let go of the weight of the past. Those who witnessed your rise may still be processing the magnitude of what they have seen. But stunned or not, one truth remains unshakable. Your transformation is real, it is profound, and it is only the beginning of everything you are meant to become.